I think I'll pay $4 for a prata.
Whoa!
Plain.
60 cents last time, man. Now $4.
Come with curry?
I think. Yeah, lah, of course. I have to pay extra for curry.
Yeah!
Hello, Happy New Year, and welcome to episode 3 of We Need to Talk. I'm Krish, this is Alicia, that's Ashley, and this is Shwen. And today we need to talk about...
How do we protect hawker culture? Cannot. I'm bringing this up because, not sure if you guys have seen, but I think in the past year or even like the past 2 years, there have been this like trend of articles about people complaining that hawker food's getting too expensive, right? $4.50 for chicken rice, people are so outraged. And there was one recent AsiaOne article written by our Celeste, and she talked about how some store owners at a new hawker center caught a little bit of flack because they were charging 80 cents for takeaway containers. And a lot of people are getting quite upset about the price increase, saying that like it's not very fair. Would you guys pay 80 cents for a takeaway container?
One packet of economical bee hoon is already 80 cents. You're paying for packaging.
The packaging,
I would pay, because I already pay like $2 plus for a Grab delivery.
Yeah, right.
So I just feel like, why not? That's 3 times the price of 80 cents. That's an average Grab delivery fee.
But there's no delivery, you self-deliver.
Yeah, I self-deliver. But I mean, in relation of how I get my other foods, I don't think it's too much of a hike. But I know that I'm also like lucky enough to be able to afford that, and a lot of people that go to these hawker centers, like that is a steep increase.
Because 80 cents is close to $1.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference, right?
Yeah.
So then hawker food is supposed to be affordable, right? And then you go there instead of other places, but now you're going there and you're paying the same price as like a food court.
Actually, food court is also takeaway 80 cents. Like,
No,
right? It's the same, right? Are food court prices and hawker center prices that different?
Depends on the food court, and I think it depends on the hawker center.
How much rent they're paying.
Yeah,
much
legit.
rent?
But also like hawker centers now are like food court, they're under the same umbrella, right?
Okay, so I know. Cool. So a while back, I got made fun of for not knowing the difference between hawker center, food court, and coffee shop.
Whoa, I didn't know coffee shop was
Yeah,
a category of its own.
They're all different.
Okay, do
So
explain.
so your food court is like your
Kofu. Yeah.
your kopitiam in the mall, right?
Junction.
Yeah.
It's air conditioned, like generally.
the
Your Broadway,
capital,
right?
Food
Those are
Republic.
food courts.
Yeah.
Your coffee shops are your places that's under the block, man. Literally, like the kind of shops with like 4 stalls,
yes.
1 prata store, 1 drink store, that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Hawker center is the ones that you always go to find good food at. They don't have a lot of different
The
stalls.
Old Airport Road, the
Old Airport
Maxwells,
Road.
the Newtons.
Yeah, your Chom Chom. Those are all hawker centers.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I feel like the line is being blurred right now.
I just unblurred them.
But it's so blurry now. So
Aircon, no aircon.
No, you're talking about kopitiam, right? Kopitiam is a what? Food court.
Yeah.
But it's also a hawker center now.
Where?
In Sengkang Square, there's like no aircon. It's kopitiam. You can use the kopitiam card for what used to be a hawker store.
Actually, you're right. There are a lot of kopitiams under blocks now, right?
Yeah.
And Kofu's under blocks.
And they have no aircon.
No aircon.
That just means that there's a lot of food courts under blocks lah.
So then, is it a coffee shop?
Is it
or
a-
is it
yeah.
a food shop?
Food court.
Coffee court.
Wait,
Food court.
but how can it be a food court when there's no aircon?
I don't think the definition boils down to whether or not there's aircon or not.
But people go to food courts to enjoy, right? To sit there with aircon. So my mom used to say something like, food court, you are paying for the environment. That's why it makes sense that food is a little bit more expensive than hawker food, even though they might have the same kind of stores.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like you're differentiating it by saying the food courts are the ones that are owned by like a big corporation, right?
big
They're like
corporation.
franchises, whereas the hawker centers are when it's the individual stalls are
Yeah.
And
individually owned by
inherently, that's
families.
better because you got your family recipes and you got your independent hawkers.
That's not
and all
true.
that.
What if hawker centers now are also owned by the same corporations? So, fun fact is that NTUC Enterprise just bought over like Food Fair. They have Food Fair and Kopitiam. And Food Fair and Kopitiam also have their own hawker centers. And they are all under the umbrella of NTC.
But I think because of the nature of F&B, right? If you ask a person who runs a hawker store to shift to a food court or to shift to a kopitiam, generally they wouldn't have any trouble with that because it's just shifting locations, right?
Yeah.
But I think fundamentally there's still 3 distinct spaces to Singaporeans. I'm going down to the coffee shop to buy coffee, and then there's maybe a few stalls I can buy from there, right? If I'm going to the food court, it's probably because I just happen to be in a mall, or there's no coffee shops near my house, so I buy from a food court. But I go to a hawker center when it's like lunchtime and I want to go and find things to eat, and I want that wide variety of choice. I think visually, it's quite clearly when you go to a hawker center and you see like rows and rows of shops and you gotta figure out like which aisle your favorite carrot cake shop is at.
I don't think it's clear anymore because like in hawker centers now, you have so many stalls, right, that weren't part of our hawker culture. You know
Like
what?
what?
I mean?
Like what? Like the
Okay,
rainbow bagel
so it's
shop.
Korean, Japanese food, part of hawker culture. Like
Wow.
hawker was brought in under the hawker center because they used to be street side stalls, right?
Yeah.
And actually, hawker culture is not very unique to Singaporeans because they have it in Hong Kong and Malaysia.
Actually, I feel like this is something that's worth kind of figuring out though. Like, what counts as hawker culture? Because actually, as Singaporeans, we're quite proud about our hawker culture.
And hawker culture is changing also. Right? I mean, everything's becoming more gentrified, right? So,
Yeah.
like, obviously, you're gonna have like your Korean food, your Japanese food kind of seep into hawker culture. But to say that's not hawker culture, I don't know if that's fair, right? Because hawker culture is okay, what is hawker culture?
Yeah,
to
what
you
is
guys?
hawker culture?
She found a definition.
No, I have a definition for hawker center.
She's ready to go already.
Hawker centers, because I was like thinking, I don't think it's that unique in Singapore. So basically, right, hawker center or cook food center is an open air complex commonly found in Hong Kong, Malaysia, and Singapore. So then we have Singaporeans like up in arms, like hawker culture is our identity. It's not really though.
It is what do you mean?
I think
Up
it is.
in arms! Like, it can be what? Why? Just because it's shared with other countries, that doesn't make it not our identity.
But I think that like just because other countries have hawker culture as well, doesn't make our hawker culture any less ours.
Okay,
what?
so what is our hawker culture?
Like the put tissue paper on the seat lah.
No, the put tissue paper is our how to say
Culture
courtesy, no, non-courtesy culture.
That's hawker culture for y'all. For me, it's like shiok ass food that's cheap.
Yeah lah,
That's
yeah lah,
all
yeah lah.
hawker. Like, it's the sedap.
Where you know you're gonna pay like $4 and
And it's
gonna
gonna
be
be
damn
damn
solid.
good. Yeah.
But then that's hawker, man. That's also like kopitiams, one.
No. So, like, hey, what I've noticed the difference between kopitiams, right, is when I go to a kopitiam, okay, most of the time, maybe I'm not going to the right kopitiams, but there's no like one shop where it's like, that's the shop that's damn good in this hawker center. So like if I go Airport Road, I know, okay, I really want to eat the roast meat, the roast pork, that one shop, the Hong Kong roast. Like I know I want to go there and eat. They also got one, you know what I mean? So it's like the Hokkien mee also. I know that particular Hokkien mee is damn good. I feel like with food courts, it's all a little bit more generic. It's the Yong Tau Fu,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
vegetarian,
Clay
the
pot
mixed
chicken.
rice, it got less personality.
What about Mamak's?
Mamak is different
Mamak's
category,
a different
bro.
category lah.
Mamak is
Mama
Mamak.
food is mama food.
So you said the shiok thing, right? It
Yeah, Mamak also can.
Yeah,
Mamak
so it's not hawker
No,
culture.
but I think
It's
he nailed it
different.
though.
Yeah.
When you go to a food court, chicken rice is chicken rice.
Yeah,
Yong Tau Fu is Yong Tau Fu. But I feel like at hawker centers, each store has its distinct
Personality.
identity.
Yeah.
You gotta see you know how sometimes there's the newspaper article clipping of like the celebrity visit
Yeah.
that place or the food court don't have.
Yeah.
Food
You'll never
court
see
have.
that.
It's like a family business is what I think of with like hawker culture. Like you know that stall has been there for like ever and
Yeah,
ever,
then
and
the
your
memories
parents
that
went
you
there.
make there as well.
Yeah.
Could also have the name of the owner and then.
No, sometimes it just says Yong Tau Fu.
No, but it's like what Senki, Chiu Lian,
yeah,
whatever.
that happens,
Have what?
But it's not the owner serving you the
yeah.
food. Whereas in the hawker center, it's like some old lady. She started the stall like so many years ago, and you know that if you go there, she's gonna like remember who you are, remember your
So
order.
that's specifically to some hawker centers only. They are like not bought over yet, right? That's why the owner is still serving there. But what's happening right now is like we're losing that.
Then it becomes a food court. Is it what I think?
So our
Once
hawker
it gets
culture
bought.
is just gonna transition to being
Yeah.
food courts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's also about like what the families want to do with the business, right? It's you can transition into becoming a food court when like let's say you've got a very popular hawker stall.
Yeah.
A lot of people come and frequent.
Yeah.
At some point, you get to an age whereby you can't really run the business anymore. You pass it to your kids.
Yeah.
Your kids are like, I'm a banker. I don't need this.
Yes.
So they take the recipe, they sell it to a franchisor.
They
lah.
franchise it, yeah.
Do you think that should be celebrated? Like because they have progressed, then now they are like in food courts all around Singapore.
I would say yes. I feel like that is the hawker culture. It's not just about like specific like memories or specific like put tissue there, right? It's the entirety of the whole thing, one. So like the businesses passing on from parent to kid, the fact that like it's a place that a lot of families can frequent on a weekend to go and get some good breakfast and have a meal together. It's the fact that like it's all the wacky arguments that you see caught on camera happening at hawker centers because people fighting over the queue.
Yeah.
It's all of that intangible thing, right? That's why when we were inscribed on the list, it's the representative list of the intangible
Yeah.
cultural heritage.
Yeah.
So it's not something that you can specifically point to. I think it's the entirety of it all. And it should be celebrated. That's why I feel like I'm in agreement with the whole up in arms thing, because I do think it's an integral part of our culture.
Yeah,
And even though
definitely.
there's Malaysian hawker culture, there's Hong Kong hawker culture, Singapore hawker culture will always be ours. Right?
Yeah.
No, man?
And I worry that it
Okay.
actually will die.
I'm also scared of that. No, if people don't want to pay 80 cents for containers, if people don't want to pay 50 cents just for a cup of water,
But you can understand that stress, right, of people that, really rely on. I mean, I read some survey somewhere that only 22%, okay, I might be wrong, but like something about 22% of people in Singapore cook at home every day.
yeah lah.
So like the rest all rely on getting food elsewhere.
That doesn't surprise
And so
me.
like, there are a lot of people that are very reliant on cheap
Yeah.
food. And like, if what you're saying earlier, right, is that cheap food is one of the kind of fundamentals of hawker food. It being cheap, then is it transitioning into something totally different? It's not even considered hawker food anymore.
So we're
It's
saying
just Singaporean food.
You're just saying hawker food is doomed.
I mean, I hope not. That breaks my heart.
Cause if let's say affordability is baked into the definition of what's hawker culture, right?
Yeah.
Then if prices start to rise, and we end up paying like $12 for Hokkien mee.
Yeah.
They didn't want to charge 80 cents for containers. It's because according to the hawkers, it's because they were biodegradable containers. So the hawker centers trying to be environmentally friendly. So they kind of required all of all the store owners to buy all these containers lah. I mean, technically you don't need it to enjoy the food lah. But now it's causing the price to increase, right?
So my question is, who should be paying? Do you think that the hawkers themselves should absorb the cost, or like the consumers should pay for the additional?
I think the consumers. Because going back to our original kind of statement about preserving hawker culture, isn't like original hawker culture bringing your own what's it called?
Tingkat.
Yeah, to the place. And so if we as the consumer have decided it is not convenient for us to bring our own containers, and we are the ones making the decision to do something unenvironmentally friendly and use disposable containers, we're the one changing the culture. So I feel like it should be on us to cover the change.
That's a fair point. But I think that the environmentally sustainable part is just one part of the equation, right? Because even with the environmentally sustainable thing out of the way, you still have like rising cost prices, rising rental rates, like your ingredients start to get more expensive. F&B staff is hard to find. So a lot of hawkers have to kind of rely on like family members to help. Because no one wants to put in those kinds of hours.
Yeah. Do y'all know any personally?
What?
People that have like parents who run hawker stores and are planning to continue.
No, I have known of friends who started to put their stuff inside hawker centers. It's a yakiniku place. So like putting it in not like individual store by itself, like not like an eatery or like a restaurant by itself. You buy a stall. The thing is about keeping it affordable. So then they can lower the price of eating yakiniku.
But who's cooking yakiniku? They are cooking, or they are almost like selling their recipe to the shop?
No, they are.
They are
So-
the ones cooking. It's their shop lah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
them
yeah,
and their
yeah,
friends like opening chains. Yeah, to keep it affordable.
But that's not hawker food.
I think still have, yeah. But yeah,
Okay.
is that hawker food?
So my question to you is like, a lot of young people now, they want to buy hawker stalls, right? Then they start their own stuff like breakfast food. Then it's very like westernized English breakfast style.
Yeah.
Then like yakiniku, or like having like barista made coffee within hawker centers. So their explanation is then it makes like the masses, right? They are able to enjoy these kind of food that maybe they would have to pay double of the price outside. But then now we're considering them not hawker.
No,
food.
I would consider that hawker culture.
I've just been defining it as like hawker food is whatever I can find in a hawker.
Yeah. Mine is more like got the wok, got the oil, and like unhealthy.
Weren't you telling me some time ago about that like last chicken rice, like how much you would pay for like if it was like the last chicken rice packet?
Oh, because there was the chicken shortage.
Yeah. How much would you pay for like the last ever packet of chicken rice?
Some guy carouselled it. Is it?
Oh yeah.
If we go by that
Chicken
logic,
shortage.
if we go by that logic, I think 3.9K, I think someone was selling it on Carousel.
Yeah lah, no.
So people will pay, is what I'm saying. They'll pay.
No one paid the 3.9K
But I
for
think
the last plate of
$12.
chicken rice. If it becomes the norm, I think people will pay. But I think the worry is not about whether people will pay or not, but whether people can pay. Whether people can afford it.
I think if you're asking about like generally speaking, the moment the prices of hawker food goes up past like a certain threshold, you will start seeing families say, no, let's just cook in and let's just cook our own food.
Yeah.
And then based on supply and demand, I think hawker centers will realize, oh, hang on a second, we've just lost all our customers. Now everyone's cooking at home. Okay, we've got to lower our prices again.
But they cannot.
Because ingredients cost X amount of money, and in order to break even, it costs X amount.
Then the government will come out with a subsidy.
Right, they have to.
For the
She's
hawker.
right.
The government's not going to be like, oh, well, they're
Hawker
going to
culture's dead, yeah.
Oh, well.
I mean, they can't because they went through so much effort to get it inscribed.
UNESCO.
Yeah.
Cannot, so
They'll be
government
fine.
will do whatever they can.
So hawker culture is going to be fine, guys. It's
Yeah.
gonna be G. I feel like if you're asking me, right, would I want to take on the cost of the biodegradable containers in the case of a hawker center? I'll gladly pay the 80 cents.
Yeah.
But if you're telling me like this huge like MNC like supermarket wants to charge me 10 cents for a plastic bag,
Yeah.
I find it a bit like
Yeah.
wrong because I feel like the whole idea of like living a sustainable or environmentally sustainable life is hard. I don't have has anyone really genuinely like tried?
I haven't tried, but I recently read an article that said, it was a survey conducted, and it said that 32% of Singaporeans consider themselves eco-warriors, with eco-warriors being defined as the environment is your main consideration with the decisions you make daily. And I think that's a very large percentage.
That's a lot.
32% say like, the number one thing that I consider, I factor in when I make my decisions is the environment.
But it costs to be environmentally friendly. It costs to be an eco-warrior.
So it comes back to the same thing again. Can we afford to be environmentally friendly? Can we pay the 80 cents
Yeah.
for the biodegradable container?
And it goes back to the thing about like hawker center being like affordable, right?
Yeah.
So if I choose to go to a hawker center because of the price point, and then like you're saying that, okay, now I have to make my decision based on the fact like, do I care about the environment or not? But that's not what they use to make decisions, what? Because they go to hawker centers because of the price point.
Yeah.
I agree the whole government like subsidizing it.
No, the government subsidizing is one thing, but like I don't think the government should subsidize every single business that's trying to go green, right?
I say specifically hawker centers because that is our UNESCO heritage site in a way, right? Our hawker center could be our future UNESCO. Wow, that's damn scary to think about, but it could be our future UNESCO heritage site, and therefore I feel in the same way the government pumps money into
Wait,
tourism.
UNESCO heritage site? No lah, it's still around.
That's why I say it's scary to say that, because maybe in 70 years that lone hawker center at Maxwell is a heritage site, right? Let's hope not, but I'm just saying. So I feel like the government should be subsidizing something like that.
Then what would you say to those people that like maybe they personally know of some hawkers that are just very well to do? Hawker can drive Lambo one,
Yeah.
Then you don't want him to subsidize for the cost of the environment? If he's selling food in a styrofoam container, means he's trading environmental damage for efficiency, right? He can pack faster, sell faster, get some more packets. So he's making more money doing that.
Yeah.
So if he's making a lot of money doing that, then should he not be the one who's responsible for absorbing the cost? I guess my question is more like, at what point does a hawker become a big business that should be responsible for its own footprint?
Well, I guess it's like a hawker stall is like any other small business anywhere, where you have to decide what your values are and where you're willing to compromise in terms of your profit and your margins and what's important to you. And unfortunately, like each business is allowed to decide that for themselves.
Yeah, and if you just choose to not care that much about the environment, then...
Yeah, then that can just be not part of your business identity.
But at the end of the day, right, I hate to bring this up, right? But like, how can you say someone that pays for the biodegradable containers, but then cooks chicken rice on a daily, like, is environmentally friendly, right? It's always gonna be, I feel when it comes to the environment, right, there's always like, okay, you're doing this to be environmentally friendly, but then you're also doing that.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing this to be environmentally friendly, but then you're passing your recipe to your 4 children, who then pass it to their 3 children, who then pass it to their 8 children. Then you're just... the environment even more.
No, I feel like that's at the heart of this question of like who's responsible for protecting the environment. And I just feel like this question in the context of hawkers is a bit more interesting. Because I can just very confidently say, no, I think big business should pay for all of the environmental damage.
Whenever hawkers is tricky.
But hawkers, I'm a bit like, ooh, BB's carrot cake.
Yeah.
You know, like, I feel like they shouldn't.
They shouldn't. So individuals should. It's our duty as Singaporeans to keep hawker culture alive by subsidizing all these costs for them.
Yeah. I feel like it's, if you want to keep that culture alive, then you need to bite the bullet and foot the bill, right?
What if they can't? Like, what if some...
As in people can't.
Yeah, people can't.
Like if the people
Yeah,
can't
like
afford
who are
it.
hawker centers for? We just talked about like what hawker culture is, affordability and everything. And now you say it's the onus of the individual to care about the environment. But anyway, the environment thing is not a threat.
No. It's to care about the hawkers.
Yeah.
Okay, it's up to us to keep hawker culture alive, right?
Yeah.
So if people cannot afford, then how?
The extra 80 cents lah.
Yeah, so is there a subsidy program that the government can help?
Actually, I think quite a few lah.
Yeah, I think they should have.
But also, I think then it's going to be exactly what Alicia says, that people are just going to start bringing their own containers, right? It will naturally push people into that direction.
Yeah.
Which I don't think that's a costly way of living, bringing your own containers to a shop.
Yeah, it's not.
I don't think it is. In fact, you probably save more money doing that than paying the current 30 cents.
So we talk about like people that do that on a regular, right? Like people that buy very environmentally friendly products, right? And then these products actually cost a lot, right? And it costs to be environmentally friendly and things like that, right? But they are the same people that are going golfing every weekend, and golfing is a super non-environmentally.
Who's going golfing?
No, we're talking about that bracket of people. Okay, so you're talking about like pay. You need to pay a lot, and it costs a lot to be environmentally friendly and to put environmental consciousness as the number one thing to consider before you make your decisions,
Not
right?
necessarily in the case of this hawker center where it's another 50 cents for a container.
So you're saying if you can't pay for the 80 cents, then you go and buy your own box.
Yeah, you buy your own container, Tupperware.
What if people say to you like, okay, then I have to put in additional amount of money because then my utilities bill will go up because I have 6 children and I have to wash 6 of their lunch boxes at home.
Well, then it's impossible, right? Then you're going to get the hawkers to absorb these costs, and there's no way of discerning what if the hawker is the one with the 6 children?
That's what.
Then how can you discern who
That's why I don't
gets-
think it should be the individual or the hawkers, because then you can't make kind of like a one size fits all thing. That's why it's like for all sectors, while education, there's not one size fits all. Some people get bursaries, some people don't, and the government should step in to help people that like need lah. You cannot like everybody same, everybody 80 cents. You can't afford, you bring your own box. Then they also have other problems, right?
So some hawkers get help.
Yeah,
some
depending
don't.
on their profit margin, depending on like, are you a listed company?
And what if one just makes really bad food and the other makes really good food, and then
Yeah, I was
the
gonna say
good
that.
food one is the one that's doing well, of course. Then the bad food one, they get help by the government because their profit margins aren't that good.
But then the good food one earns so much that they can absorb what?
Yeah, because they make good ass food. Then the bad one just
It
they
doesn't.
don't do a good
If
job.
it doesn't affect their profit margin, right?
Actually, I think Krish makes a really good point.
Okay.
Because like that, then you got if your store doesn't sell good food, right, and people don't buy it, and yet you're still getting subsidies,
What
right?
if it's not about good or bad food? What
You got no
if it's just that
incentive to
like,
get better.
like the Thai Fan store, like
will
surely
naturally make more money than
Yeah.
a
or like
vegetarian
a vegetarian
store.
store,
Yeah,
yeah. Then you can't force the vegetarian store to same as the Thai Fan store. And it doesn't mean the vegetarian store makes bad food. It's just like the demand is lower as compared to the Thai Fan store. So I feel like it's really a lot about the profit margin.
So it's just case by case.
Yes, case by case.
Basically everything Singapore doesn't do. Like case by case. Yeah,
No, okay lah.
we
I feel
hate
like
case by case.
I feel like Singapore is trying, like especially
case
like
by
education
case.
sector, because like they cannot case by case because they see it as very important, right? So like they want everybody to have equal opportunities, right? So they try their best, like okay, the house that you live in, per capita income, to determine how
yeah.
much they help you in your school fees.
They're trying case
Yeah,
by case.
so they should also try for hawker
case by
centers
case
lah.
hawker.
Case by case hawker. So if you really want to like preserve and what is our intangible UNESCO, blah blah blah, right?
Get it right, get it right. You all keep getting it wrong so many times. Sorry, it's on UNESCO's representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity.
Yep. So that's such a good thing for Singapore to sell, to attract tourists and stuff, right? Then you can go to the effort to be case by case, no?
No, I think Xuan's right. I feel like given how important like hawker culture is to us, we'll figure out a way. Whether it's like us as consumers, store owners themselves, or whether the government intervening. I think that like we've reached this point whereby it's too big to fail.
Or all of the above, yeah.
Hawker culture is too big to fail, guys. It's too big to fail.
No worries.
It's our national identity.
I think it's part of our
Never
national
die,
identity.
yeah.
I don't look forward to eating a $12 plate of carrot cake. But I feel like if I had to, I would. As a treat,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would. Just have it less frequently.
Well, really progressive from like the roadside store, right? Now must do it as a treat.
And then you can, then when we can go and edit the UNESCO entry, and then like it's a journey. Hawker culture is a journey, guys. Singapore's so young.
Yeah.
We're still exploring our own like F&B stuff, right?
Yeah.
You sound so miserable, dude.
Yeah, why you sound so
It's
upset?
just crazy. Like $12 for carrot cake. It's just so crazy. Yeah, I guess that's just the reality, right? Of where it's
I think it's the reality of anything that's good.
Yeah, it shows we value it.
Yeah.
yeah.
The price can increase that much and people will still pay it.
Krisha, I put it to you that you don't really love hawker food that much.
Why? Because I don't want to pay $12.
Because you
for it.
wouldn't pay for it.
It's more like paying $12 for it changes what it is.
So you don't like the taste of hawker food that
I
much.
love the taste of hawker food.
Then
I would pay
pay
$12.
for it, pay $12 for it.
I'm earning not because I wouldn't. I'm earning because like the notion of paying $12 for hawker food almost inherently makes it not hawker food.
So the affordability is one of its characteristics.
Yeah. Of
Yeah,
course.
I would
And
agree with that.
it's like cheap good food.
The more I think about it, I feel like I keep going back and forth between like hawker culture's gonna die for sure, but it's not gonna die for sure.
Yeah, I know.
I
We
can't-
will never know.
I
We will
can't-
never know. Seriously.
It will never die. It's just gonna
Yeah lah, it's
evolve.
national identity.
Yeah, it's gonna evolve. It's gonna evolve.
Yeah. Closing thoughts?
Yeah, I was gonna say that
Yeah?
next.
Closing thoughts? Y'all got any closing thoughts?
My closing thought is that it's interesting that the UNESCO site says hawker culture in Singapore. It's so specific. Hawker culture in Singapore is the UNESCO, what's that called? Intangible blah 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 of humanity. Can I read it?
No, you cannot read it. You must look at the camera now.
Okay, yeah, basically, it's an intangible culture that the UNESCO values. So, please see the full official term here, yeah. But it specifically says hawker culture in Singapore. So I think like it's really worth thinking about preserving it. Because even though like we started off the episode talking about how we're not the only ones with it, but we're the only ones that's a UNESCO intangible, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
My final thoughts is that I think that our final thoughts should be shorter. Next.
My final thoughts are that just like any other business, it's going to be supply and demand. And as long as you still want to eat chicken rice, even if it's $3.9 million, someone will find $3.9 million to pay for their chicken rice.
My final thoughts is I think I'll pay $4 for a prata.
Whoa.
Yeah. $4 for plain roti prata. If that's where it what happens, then that's how much I'll pay. Yeah.
It's a somber one to end on.
Yeah.
$4 prata.
Plain.
Plain 60 cents last time, man. Now $4.
Come with
I
curry?
think. Yeah, lah, of course. I have to pay extra for curry.
Yeah, and extra for the biodegradable bag that the curry comes in, yeah.
And that was the end of the episode. If you guys enjoyed what you saw, do like, share, and subscribe. Tell us what you think in the comments. Like, how much would you pay for chicken rice? Would you pay $4 for a prata? Like, what do you guys think we should be talking about on We Need to Talk? Like, just let us know in the comments.
Yeah, legit. Let us know what to talk about next.
Yeah. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye.